the voice of the flesh, the voice of man, the voice of the devil. They know his voice. They know his voice. They know his voice. Do you know, can you discern the voice of God? Are you sure you do that? They know his voice. They know his voice. What a voice does is to utter words. They know his voice. Every time you hear God's word, you discern that is God's word to me. Sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's the rod, sometimes the staff. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. They know his voice. When the voice of your shepherd rebukes you, do you get angry? How do you react to the voice of heaven whenever it rebukes you? They know his voice. They know his voice. The voice of a shepherd does not pamper. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. A good sheep will find comfort in the rod. That's strong. That's for some leaders in church. That's for some leaders in church. A good sheep will find comfort in the rod. A goat will find torture in the rod. The rod means rebuke. The staff means direction. Every shepherd must learn how to use the rod and the staff. If you see a shepherd that only uses a staff and not the rod, is a bad shepherd. Now this is a tough one. If you see a shepherd that only uses the staff and not the rod, is a bad one. One is to rebuke you when the flock is going this way. Come back, come back. This is the way. The other is to give you direction. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, not torture me. Paul said, ye that are spiritual, I do not consider myself spiritual. By Pauline epistle's definition of a spiritual person. Oh, not yet. Because spirituality is defined by maturity and not longevity. The fact that you've been 20 years old in faith doesn't mean you are spiritual in faith. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. As a shepherd, I become scared of using the rod. You know why, brother? Because they will be angry. You're using the rod. But every shepherd should learn to know and how to use the rod and also the staff. For the flock will always want to do their own. And that's when they will learn to know the voice of the shepherd. The voice of heaven. Because I will show you the three things the voice of God did in the beginning. Because last week I spoke about the voice of the devil. And I told the enemy speaks through your friends. Remember? Enemy speaks through the pets. There were two serpents in the beginning, which was the devil and the word natural serpent. Remember? The curses that came upon the serpent were two. He cursed the physical serpent and he cursed the spiritual serpent. He said, you will crawl on your belly. That's not the devil. The devil does not crawl on his belly. That one is a physical snake. Snake was a 4-footed beast before. The second serpent, he said, you shall bruise your heel. The seed of the woman, that's the devil. So in one curse, we have two people, two things, two creatures. The voice of the shepherd, the voice of God. There are voices in the garden. And one of the things I pray that our young ladies will hear and learn to train their ears to discern the voice of heaven and the voice of God before you make a decision of a marriage. And for those of you that are married right now, when you have issues in your marriage, you should ask yourself, whose voice am I listening to? Because the devil will come and say, hey. As God said, you should submit totally. As God said, a woman should be stupid. As God said, because you're a woman and you should submit to your husband, you should become swagbe. Submission is not swagbe. And then that voice sounds normal. That's true. That's true. It's the devil. It's the devil. It's not true. In submission is swagbe. I want to be swagbe in submission. If loving makes me weak, I want to be a loving husband. I'll be a weak husband. If forgiveness make me as a weakling, let me forgive and be a weakling for Christ's sake. Many of us don't know the voice of strangers. That's where I'm going today. And friends, the voice of strangers have wrecked and ruined many marriages. The voice of strangers. Strange voices. Through our mothers, through our fathers, through our colleagues, through our in-laws, through all kinds of people. The voice of strangers. The voice of strangers. The voice of strangers. The voice of strangers. And people are unhappy today because they listened 5 years ago to the voice of a stranger. And and they did not discern that that's not the voice of God. And so some women begin to compare their husbands with other men because they listen to the voice of strangers. The Bible says it's not wise that compares one with another. The voice of strangers. The way we train our children, we listen to the voice of strangers. How many of you know that strangers still speak to us today? Strange voices, with strange ideas, with strange things, strange views and opinion. To say a man can marry a man is the voice of stranger. That's not the voice of God. I studied my Bible. I didn't see Adam and Adam in the beginning. That's a voice of stranger. I don't care how good it sounds. I don't care how nice it looks. It's a voice of stranger. The voice of stranger is a voice of strangers.